What if I told you that the scariest film in human history was cursed before the director ever said action? That during filming, things happened on set that science cannot explain. Fires with no cause, mysterious deaths, ruined lives, and even the actress herself becoming possessed. And that the studio which released this film tried to hide the truth about it for nearly half a century, because they were afraid not only of the public, but of the film itself. Today, we open Hollywood's Black Book, The Exorcist, 1973. The film that made millions believe in the reality of hell, and that nearly destroyed everyone who touched it. Welcome to Just Sneak. If you want to know what really happened behind the scenes of the greatest films, what secrets the studios hide, and what skeletons lie in the closets of your favorite actors, you've come to the right place. Hit subscribe. Today, we are exorcising the devil from cinema history. Let's start this story not with the filming, but with a real event that shook America in 1949. In a suburb of Washington, D.C. in the town of Cottage City, a 14-year-old boy named Roland Dew, not his real name, it was hidden for decades, suddenly began behaving inexplicably. Furniture moved on its own, scratches appeared on the walls, and from the teenager's mouth came voices that, witnesses claimed, belonged not to one person, but to a whole legion. The Catholic Church performed an exorcism on the boy. It lasted several weeks. The priest, Father William Friedkin, kept a diary. That diary, years later, fell into the hands of a young writer named William Peter Blatty. Blatty had studied at a Jesuit university, and the story gripped him so deeply that he couldn't sleep at night. He wrote a novel, The Exorcist. But to get permission to publish it, he had to go through a hell that itself deserves a separate film. No publisher wanted to touch a book about demonic possession of a child. The Catholic Church threatened excommunication, and Blatty himself later admitted that while working on the novel, strange things began happening in his house. Drafts without windows, the smell of sulfur, paintings falling off walls. He thought he was going insane, but the book came out, and it exploded the world. Producers at Warner Brothers, particularly the legendary Emma Austin, immediately understood that this was a gold mine. But launching the project turned it into a real studio battle. The first director approached was Arthur Penn, who had made Bonnie and Clyde. He refused, saying, "I can't film something like that with a child as the lead." Then Stanley Kubrick was offered. Kubrick was interested but demanded complete creative control and, according to rumors, planned to turn the 12-year-old girl into a real sex symbol, which shocked the producers. Intrigues between screenwriters also boiled over. Blatty insisted on writing the screenplay himself, but the studio hired another playwright with whom Blatty had a public conflict at a Hollywood dinner. Eventually, William Friedkin was chosen, a man whom the devil himself seemed to have selected as an instrument of punishment. Friedkin was known as a director with a difficult temper. Before The Exorcist, he had made The French Connection, which won him an Oscar. But behind the scenes, rumors swirled. Friedkin was a monster. He could scream at actors for hours, refuse to feed the extras, demand 100 takes of a single scene. The scandalous episodes of his career include a lawsuit with actor Gene Hackman, who accused Friedkin of having nearly killed him by making him run under real bullets, not fake ones. The director justified himself by saying, the actor must feel real danger. On the set of The Exorcist, this trait manifested fully. Friedkin's personal problems also played a role. He was in the middle of a divorce, and his condition bordered on clinical depression. He drank, didn't sleep at night, and according to assistants, sometimes muttered prayers in Aramaic without understanding why. When casting began, another scandal erupted. For the role of Mother Chris McNeil, Audrey Hepburn and Anne Bancroft were considered. But Friedkin insisted on the relatively unknown Ellen Burstyn, and rightly so. She won an Oscar. But with the role of the demon Pazuzu, there were problems. Friedkin first wanted the devil played by a real defrocked priest. Then he wanted the voice to belong to actress Mercedes McCambridge, whom he put in a cage and made smoke cigars to make her voice hoarse. But the loudest story was the role of the possessed girl herself, Regan. Hundreds of children auditioned. Friedkin rejected almost all of them because they smiled too sweetly, until he saw Linda Blair. She was 12. After the audition, Friedkin said to his assistant, "There's something devilish in her eyes." Those words would prove prophetic. The shooting of The Exorcist remains to this day the most hellish in Hollywood history. It lasted 224 days, instead of the scheduled 85. The budget grew from $4 to $12 million. and every minute of that nightmare can be dissected into separate tragedies. Friedkin deliberately created an atmosphere of terror on the set. In the scene where the mother runs down the street looking for a doctor, he ordered the cameramen to shoot from a helicopter and had a hidden wire attached to actress Ellen Burstyn's waist. At the most unexpected moment, he jerked it violently, making her fall face first into the mud. Burstyn didn't know about it. Her scream is real. After the take, she had a breakdown and refused to speak to the director for 3 days. In another scene where Regan slaps her mother during a seizure, Friedkin insisted on real blows. Linda Blair hit Ellen so hard that she had a bruise for weeks. Friedkin didn't spare Linda herself. To achieve the effect of the demon's breath in a cold room, he lowered the temperature on set to -10 degrees Celsius. The girl filmed in a thin nightgown. After 3 hours of shooting, she had hypothermia. Doctors said that a little longer, and she could have lost her toes. But that's just flowers. The most scandalous scene, the exorcism scene where Regan's head turns 180 degrees. For this, Friedkin used a complex mechanical puppet that constantly broke down. But actress Linda Blair still participated in takes. She was suspended on wires. Once, the wire snapped, and the girl fell from a height of 3 meters. What? She escaped with bruises, but her mother, who was present on set, attacked Friedkin with her fists. The director demanded to continue. Firings on set were constant. The first cinematographer, the legendary Owen Roisman, left after Friedkin ordered him to shoot as if Satan himself is holding the camera. Roisman called it idiocy and was fired. The new cameraman, Billy Williams, worked non-stop, and at the end of the shoot, he had a heart attack. Funding problems never stopped. Warner Brothers was ready to shut down the project when Friedkin exceeded the budget yet again. But then something happened that made the studio continue. One evening, a fire broke out on the set for no apparent reason. The bedroom set burned down. Insurance covered the losses, but everyone nearby swore the fire started on its own. After that, the studio president, a superstitious man, ordered additional funds, declaring, "If the devil is against this film, then we're on the right track." But the real hell awaited behind the scenes of human relationships. Who hated whom? Ellen Burstyn and Linda Blair, despite their on-screen bond, barely spoke during filming. Burstyn thought Friedkin spoiled the girl too much. Linda thought Burstyn was an old snob. Actor Jason Miller, who played the young priest father Karras, had such a conflict with Friedkin that they almost came to blows on set. Miller was a theater actor used to rehearsals. Friedkin demanded improvisation, and once, during the scene where Karras loses his faith, shouted, "You're a talentless hack. You can't even cry for real." Miller burst into tears. Friedkin turned on the camera. That take made it into the film. Who set up whom? The dirtiest intrigue unfolded around the ending. Friedkin secretly filmed an alternative ending in which Father Marin Max von Sydow does not die, but saves the girl by sacrificing himself differently. The producers found out by accident and demanded the footage be destroyed. Friedkin set up screenwriter Blatty by claiming it was his idea. Blatty publicly denied it, and a years-long feud ensued. Secret connections also existed. It was rumored that the film's technical consultant, Father Thomas Birmingham, a real Jesuit, was actually an informant for the Vatican, watching to ensure the film did not offend the church. It was he who insisted that in the exorcism scene, the priest recite the prayers in Latin without error. Without him, the film could have been banned by the Vatican, which at the time would have meant commercial death in Catholic countries. Now let's turn to the plot. The basic setup. Famous actress Chris McNeil Ellen Burstyn rents a house in Georgetown, where she lives with her 12-year-old daughter Regan Linda Blair. Suddenly, Regan starts behaving strangely. She hears voices, her bed shakes, green slime oozes from her mouth. After several medical examinations, doctors throw up their hands and suggest she see a psychiatrist. But the mother understands this is not psychiatry. She turns to priest-psychiatrist Karras Jason Miller, who then turns to the experienced exorcist Father Marin Max von Sydow. Together, they enter the girl's room to cast out the demon. And then begins what made millions of people leaving theaters seek out priests. On the surface, The Exorcist is a horror film, but deep down, it's a tragedy about the loss of faith. Karras is a priest who doesn't believe in God. His mother dies alone, and he feels guilt. The demon exploits that. The entire story is not just a battle with the devil, it's a battle with one's own demons, a theme that no one dared to address so openly in 1973. And behind this stood a real scandal involving William Peter Blatty, The author himself was deeply religious, but after the book and film were released, he received thousands of letters accusing him of showing God as weak. Blatty fell into depression and disappeared from the public eye for several years. When the film was released, something happened that no one expected. The premiere in New York on December 26, 1973, turned into a real nightmare. Viewers fainted right in their seats. Medical teams were stationed at every exit. It was reported that during the first screening, 13 people had hysterics, 2 had miscarriages, and 1 man, according to newspapers, broke his jaw by hitting the seat in front of him during a fit. But the loudest incident occurred in London, where a woman, after watching the film, tried to kill her husband that same evening, telling police that the devil commanded it. The court acquitted her by reason of insanity. The film was banned in several countries: Singapore, Hong Kong, and some states in India. Critics were divided. Roger Ebert called it one of the greatest films ever made. A conservative critic for the New York Times wrote that the film insults all human dignity. The Catholic Church first condemned the picture, but then, seeing the box office, unexpectedly blessed it. It is said that the Vatican received a large donation from Warner Brothers. Coincidence? I think not. But the real consequences for the cast and crew were terrible. Linda Blair, who was 14 at the time of the premiere, remained the girl from The Exorcist for life. Her career was destroyed. She turned to alcohol, drugs, was hospitalized in psychiatric clinics several times, claiming that after the shoot, voices came to her. Ellen Burstyn, who won an Oscar, later said that the role in The Exorcist took 10 years off her life. She underwent long treatment for post-traumatic stress disorder. Jason Miller, who played Father Karras, abandoned acting for several years and became a priest in real life. Yes, he was actually ordained in the Episcopal Church and said that filming made him reflect on faith. Max von Sydow, the sturdiest of them all, later joked that the devil didn't touch me because I'm too tall. But he too admitted that during filming, he had a heart attack. Now, the dirtiest details kept quiet for decades. First, the deaths. 4 crew members died within a year of filming ending. 2 from cancer, 1 drowned in a bathtub, another was hit by a car. This fueled rumors of a film curse. Second, the mysterious fire on set, which I mentioned earlier, destroyed not just sets. It destroyed the only copy of a scene where Pazuzu appears in full form as a statue. Friedkin claimed it was arson, but police never found the culprits. Third, deleted scenes. The original version of the film ran nearly 3 hours. The studio demanded it be cut to 2. They cut the famous spider walk scene where Regan descends the stairs backwards on all 4s with her spine broken. It is now included in the director's cut. But they also cut a dialogue where the demon names a real, living American politician. On the orders of lawyers, that footage was destroyed forever. As for secret connections, persistent rumors claim that William Friedkin consulted not only with Catholic priests, but also with Satanists during filming. Allegedly, he wanted the ritual to look authentic. One technical consultant, who later turned out to be a member of an occult society, helped create the symbols on the walls of Regan's room. Friedkin denied this, but admitted that one night on set, he heard footsteps and laughter in an empty pavilion. Now, let's conduct an expert analysis. What worked well, despite the chaos? Almost everything. The acting, the cinematography, the sound design. That sound of the turning head still haunts people. The main achievement: the film broke the 4th wall between the audience and the demonic. Where did the film fail? In its moral responsibility toward young Linda Blair. She was broken forever. How did the scandals affect its reception? They created a myth of a cursed film that lives on to this day. Thanks to that myth, The Exorcist became not just cult, but a sacred text for horror fans. It is rewatched, studied, prayed over. Why did it become a cult classic? Because it is one of a kind. Neither before nor after has anyone been able to depict the horror of possession so convincingly. All attempts to repeat its success, from the exorcism of Emily Rose to modern imitations, look like pale parodies. It remains the pinnacle. Conclusion: The Exorcist is not just a film. It is a cinematic artifact that changed the industry forever. After it, the R rating ceased to be a death sentence for horror. After it, studios understood that audiences want not only blood but also depth. After it, millions began to fear the dark in a new way. The careers of those involved. William Friedkin never made anything like it again. He remained in history as the director of one film, though that's not entirely fair. Linda Blair was destroyed. Ellen Burstyn was reborn decades later, appearing in Nolan's Inception. William Peter Blatty, until his death in 2017, received letters from people thanking him for bringing them to God, and from others cursing him for driving them away from faith. Every year on December 26th, an empty wine bottle and a note appear on Blatty's grave. Thank you for the fear. No one knows who leaves it. On Just Sneak, we love digging into such stories. If you want to hear breakdowns of even crazier projects, hit like, subscribe, and drop a comment about which film you think was the most cursed in history. And I'll sign off now to prepare new investigations for you. Remember, wherever it smells of sulfur, there's always a story they tried to hide. See you.